Welcome into the fourth episode of FHS Season Tickets. I'm Michael.
And I'm Nick.
And we're talking about some Fairview sports to start off today's episode. The boys soccer team beat Cloverleaf 5-0 on Saturday.
The girls and guys cross country met at Tiffin, the second biggest cross country meet in the nation. And Ellie Kaufman, huge shout out to Ellie Kaufman. She won a trophy, finished 9th place. Connor Cobain finished first on the team, then Momo, then Paul, then Peter.
Yeah, both boys and girls cross-country teams did great. The girls finished in, I believe, 9th, and the boys finished in 13th place. Some two really good results from the cross-country team.
Yeah, again, that was a huge cross-country meet.
Yeah, and the volleyball teams went undefeated in conference play over the past week, and also they finished 4th in the Rocky River Invitational. Nick, what happened in the football game on Friday?
Yeah, unfortunately, the football team took another loss. It was just a really rough gauntlet of we had Rocky River, Vermilion, then Bay. That's just really hard out of conference. So we lost 35-7, and it's just going to be rough. It was just a rough first 3 weeks starting off. Demetrius Allen, though, did get a defensive touchdown, which is really cool to watch, a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any easier next week for the football team, taking on Buckeye, a team that went undefeated last year, and this year they actually beat Rocky River, even though they are only 2-1. They're probably a little bit worse than they were last year, but they're still a very talented team.
Yeah, that Buckeye senior class was really loaded last year, but they always seem to replace. That's a really big school.
Yeah, they're a reload, not rebuild, as we like to talk about in college football.
Heck yeah.
But speaking of college football, there wasn't any top 25 matchups. A really disappointing weekend. But, there's still stuff that happens in college football that's wild every single week. And Oklahoma State took on Central Michigan, and on a hook and lateral Hail Mary.
Crazy.
Central Michigan got the win. But the play shouldn't have happened, as Oklahoma State had an intentional grounding penalty. They had the ball with 4 seconds left, just threw the ball into the stands. And it was called an intentional grounding penalty, and the game should have ended, but they gave Central Michigan one last play, and Central Michigan obviously scored a touchdown. Nick, do you think that Oklahoma State should get the win because the play should have never happened, or are you all for Central Michigan?
No, I'm all for Central Michigan. I think that whatever happens in that allotted 60 minutes happens. And also, I just have to root for the underdog in this case. Crazy. Oklahoma State should have never been in that position in the first place. Central Michigan played their hearts out. Good for them. Good way to get the win.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the people that are defending Oklahoma State, saying that, they should have gotten the rule right, it should never happened, Oklahoma State should get the win, they should be 2-0. You're defending a team that gave up a 60-yard hook and lateral touchdown. If you're a coach and your team gives up a 60-yard hook and lateral touchdown, I would be pissed as a coach if that happened to me. And people are trying to defend giving up a 60-yard hook and lateral touchdown.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's kind of crazy to be the play should have never happened.
Exactly. And
the touchdown should have never happened either. If Oklahoma State knew how to defend, we're not in this situation.
And they were supposed to be a top 10 team last year. They were all overhyped. I just think just give Central Michigan the win. There's always going to be that human variable with refs. That's why we have refs, not robots. I just think that Central Michigan win, just end of discussion.
Yeah, refs are humans too. They make mistakes, and then I'd argue Oklahoma State's defense made an even bigger mistake than the Central Michigan refs did. So Arkansas took on TCU in a huge battle in the SEC versus the Big 12, and Arkansas had a huge lead, but TCU made a big-time comeback, actually taking the lead. TCU took the lead 28-20. TCU took the lead 28-20, and then Arkansas drove down the field, scored, and Brett Bielema with a fantastic call for a 2-point conversion, a double reverse, something that you really never see from coaches in college football, and it actually worked out also in the NFL, a 2-point conversion. The Oakland Raiders got a nice 2-point conversion to get a victory over the New Orleans Saints. But back to the college football game. Arkansas did send it into overtime with a blocked field goal that sent it into overtime. And then in overtime, Arkansas did get the victory. Allen, the quarterback for Arkansas, did rush in a touchdown in double overtime to give the Razorbacks the victory over TCU. Nick, what do you have to say about this game?
Yeah, just good for Arkansas for getting the win. And good for Brett Bielema, dude. This dude just finds a way to stick around college football, I feel. With Wisconsin, just the running game, pure, just classic Brett Bielema. Keep your job, Brett Bielema. Keep getting those checks, young boy.
Yeah, Brett Bielema gets a lot of hate from Wisconsin fans. All the Wisconsin fans I follow, they just bash on Brett Bielema.
Melvin Gordon, that's him.
Yeah, but they watch Arkansas games and they purposely hate on Brett Bielema. It's kind of similar to like Tennessee fans and Conzo Martin, but that's topic for another day.
Yeah.
Salty fans at coaches who are bad at their school are pretty ridiculous. But going on to another huge college football game, even though it wasn't two big teams, it was still a huge event. It was the battle at Bristol. Over 150,000 people to watch a college football game. It was a pretty spectacular sight to see. And then you watch the actual game. Virginia Tech had like 5 fumbles, and it was just an ugly game.
No.
Josh Dobbs still can't pass. And,
Yeah.
I mean,
Still working on that arm.
yeah, and just so many Virginia Tech turnovers, and it was just a bad football game to watch, but a really cool spectacle. Nick, do you think that we could be able to see some more events like the battle at Bristol at NASCAR tracks?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that this was a really good launching pad. I just don't think this was the right game to get hyped over for this. I feel bad for the fans, but at least they were part of something special. I can't wait till, like, Alabama versus LSU is in front of that many people, let me tell you.
Yeah, that would be awesome, but I don't really know why they scheduled these two teams, because think back 3 years ago, Tennessee was getting beat by Vandy, and Virginia Tech was about to have their legendary head coach retire. Like, these two teams weren't really that great.
It's all about the money, Mike.
But you schedule like
Motivation.
the biggest college football game in history, and it's between two average teams at the time. Not even average. Tennessee was like not making it to a bowl game for 3 straight seasons, and then Virginia Tech was obviously on decline. I think the NCAA. I think the NCAA definitely made a noob move in the scheduling of these two teams. The event could have been way better, but was still a success. I hope to see this in some other racetracks. Maybe
For sure.
get to see some higher profile teams and maybe some better football on the racetracks. But
Oh, will
also,
it come after this success? I think it will come. 150,000 people going to see those two teams. Imagine top 10 teams facing off against each other. You're talking over 150,000. It's gonna be quite a sight to see.
Yeah, if you can fit over that many people. But the NFL Week 1 did happen, and the Cardinals took on the Patriots, and the Arizona Cardinals had a chance to win at the end, but Chandler Costanzo did miss a field goal that would have given the Arizona Cardinals the victory. Nick, what were your thoughts about this game? What do you think about Jimmy Garoppolo making his first career start in the absence of Tom Brady due to his suspension?
Yeah, I'm actually liking these backups that are coming in for these high-profile starting quarterbacks. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a good log jam before Tom Brady comes back, and he's gonna learn more. But he definitely did a good job in his debut. But I think I'm sorry, I'm from Cleveland. I just can't get involved in the NFL anymore. I don't know if you guys think that, because just the Browns have just been so bad every year. I just can't wait for a winning NFL team again. I just can't really get involved in the NFL and excited for it.
Yeah, totally. I said on FHS Season Tickets Twitter account, make sure you guys go follow that, on the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cincinnati Bengals playoff game. That was one of the best football games I've ever seen. I know there was a lot of problems with like late hits and stuff like that, but just on the field, the pure excitement in that game, the pure craziness, that showed what this city would bring if the Browns were in the playoffs, anything close to what the Bengals and Steelers did. I was getting really pumped for that game, and the Browns weren't even in it. If the Browns were in that game, Cleveland would have been so wild, and it would have been so awesome. So definitely, I can't wait to see when the Browns make the playoffs. Hopefully,
I said it before, I said it again. A Browns playoff win would mean almost as much to the city as a Cavs final win, because just everyone's just in love with Cleveland when we're just the Cleveland Browns when they're bad. Imagine when we're winning. It's gonna be a spectacle for sure.
Yeah, Cleveland Browns playoff win would probably be the same amount of craziness as the Cavs did when they lost the finals. I don't think it's the same as championship, but just a playoff victory would be just as good as the Cavs making the finals. But some other NFL news. You mentioned the first start for the quarterbacks. Dak Prescott made his first career start. He looked pretty solid. What were your thoughts about Dak Prescott against the New York Giants?
Yeah, I mean, I said it before. Address me as the prophet. I think that my prediction on Dak Prescott is looking really solid right now. He is like what we saw in the preseason. He has a great offensive line. I'll remind you guys what I said. The system is what is gonna do him wonders. He has a great offensive line. Ezekiel Elliott's still good, even though he didn't have the best what we envisioned him to do. And just Dak Prescott looks like a good game manager right now. Imagine when he's breaking out plays that are going to be really high explosive. It's going to happen. I like Dak Prescott. What do you think, Mike?
I wasn't as sold on Dak Prescott. He obviously looked very confident and comfortable with the ball. He wasn't making any bonehead decisions, but he didn't really get Des Bryant involved in the game, and I think that's definitely something that he needs to do in the future. Des Bryant is by far his best offensive weapon that he is able to throw to. So if he could get him involved and also maybe lead the team to a victory, I know it wasn't his fault that Terrence Williams did not run out of bounds. If I was an NFL head coach of Terrence Williams, I would be
NFL player
screaming at him. And
get the field goal, young blood.
That was just horrible to watch. Just clock management so far in this college football and NFL season has been absolutely horrible by so many teams. I mean, Appalachian State against Tennessee, they're at the 30-yard line with 20 seconds left and can't even kick a field goal at the end. I know there's a couple other instances that just aren't popping into my head right now. But clock management, as Barrett Slee said, every coach needs a VP of common sense, and I definitely think that there just needs to be some more common sense from college and NFL football coaches. But that will wrap it up for this episode.
I would like to elaborate on what you said about Des Bryant, though. I just don't think Des has been like the same old Des in like a couple of years now. Ever since like his past couple injuries, and even with Tony Romo on the field, Des hasn't been doing good. That might be partly Dez's fault than Dak Prescott. What do you think?
That is a pretty interesting take. It might be Dez's fault, but I still think that Dak needs to target him a little bit more. And now that's fair. That will wrap it up for the 4th episode of FHS Season Tickets. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're looking to get some Fairview athletes onto the show for the next episode, and also a huge episode coming out on Friday. We've got some huge college football games, including your Notre Dame versus Michigan State, and also a top 10 battle in the ACC of Florida State versus Louisville. You guys won't want to miss that.
Hey, I would like, before we end the show, I would like to thank Barrett Sully for coming on last Friday. That was really cool of him. He's a really big guy in sports, and it was just really nice getting his takes on what he thinks about college football so far.